Welcome to the Sweet Science of Fighting Jiu-Jitsu instructional channel. James and Ryan again taking you through the ultimate leg lock control position. And it is, if you haven't watched the leg lock fundamental video, make sure you watch that one first because then you'll be familiar with these positions. But it's basically covering B1, B2, and kind of B3 as part of it, but not part of this video. So make sure you check that out first. Also go down in the description, check the link to the Sweet Science Fighting Underground. You can submit your matches for Ryan to break down for you. You can also ask any questions on any of this technical stuff. Ryan is in there to help you.
We're going to go over a honey hole position here. If you've watched the 9 positions of leg locks, I talked about category B. Okay, so if you haven't watched that, it's okay because well, I would just go back to references because I may say B1, B2, B3. You don't know what I'm talking about. So we basically break leg lock positions into 9 different positions in 3 categories: A, B, and C. The B category is going to be in what we typically call the honey hole position. 411 saddle, all this stuff. This is with the leg on the inside and with a reap. Okay, so this is pretty standard honey hole position. There's variations all from here, but it's simply a reaped leg with the leg on the inside position. So what I wanted to touch base on a little bit here is actually what we call lateral knee bar position, or the in-between position, or B2 position. It's a very useful in-between position to outside to sambo knot and also to the inside to honey hole heel hook. It causes a dilemma, and when you start to get more advanced in leg locks and go against guys that are more advanced, you have to start to try to produce more dilemmas to where no matter which way they're going, there's going to be a threat. Plus, you can just gain the initiative. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is lateral position for lateral knee bar is if I'm flat and I have the leg center on my chest. Okay, now we can produce submissions here. Okay, this takes a little bit of understanding how to actually do the lateral knee bar. There's some bit of nuance here. I would not say this is extremely high level, but it does happen. Okay, if you notice, look at the tension on his leg, right? I mean, you can tell that if I do this correctly, I could probably produce some sort of break. So the first thing I want to address is just the submission itself, but I really want to talk about the true value in this position. Okay, so if you ever, we've talked about before how to look at the foot as a triangle. Okay. There's 3 points of contact that we'll always have in any of the leg positions typically. We're either going to have point 1, point 2, or point 3, which is heel and Achilles region. Those 3 points of contact in some combination will produce the leg locks. Okay, so heel hooks, straight ankles, all the stuff will be produced with one of those 3 points of contact. So what we're going to do is we're going to use that. We're going to take the big toe, that's my contact number 1. My contact number 2 is going to be with the heel. Okay, so what we're actually looking to do is take the big toe, even though his leg is on this side of my body, I want to drag his foot to this side of my body. Okay, so the way that looks is, as I get here and I pull this to the side here, I'm going to use this hand to punch up to the ceiling. And what this does is it rotates his foot this way. So when you get here and holding the toe, I'll use his foot to punch up. And you can see that this rotates his heel down. And it's actually technically very difficult for them to go pointing the other direction, right? And once I get here, I actually reinforce my the hand holding the big toe. The break here is me going like this, okay? So when I turn this direction, that's it. It doesn't take much. We just crack and break it to the, so this is considered lateral knee bar. It also helps if you're wearing a cup. That's a little bonus. That's a little also a tip for arm bars and all that stuff. Wear a cup. It actually helps. But this is actually the submission, how you'll produce a lateral knee bar. So just notice I'm flat on my back here. I'm pulling his leg across my body. I'm punching up. Okay. So they're typically like this when they're hiding their foot. And so the usefulness of this is when somebody's hiding their foot, I immediately go to the lateral knee bar. I'll pull the foot, the big toe this direction, I'll punch up, and I bring him back this direction, and then it's just a tap, that, right? This is a very, this does work, and I've seen it at high levels work. But I want to touch on what the real value is here. Guys that are really good at leg lock, especially now that understand leg lock defense, it's very difficult to even achieve this on them. But what you can actually achieve typically is this grip. Okay, so this grip is usually pretty standard. You can get this. So I always want to put the Achilles in the crook of my elbow, pinching, big toe pulling to my chest, and this reinforcing everything. Okay, now once I have this grip, now I can start to cause the dilemma. The dilemma is this. If James starts to run this way, right, and he starts to try to hide his heel, I'll immediately drag him to the outside, and I get here. Now I know this has been labeled some other position like Z-lock and all this stuff, but we refer to this as sambo knot position. It's pretty old school, but this is sambo knot position. This is now the foot is on the outside. We have a full reap. This is illegal technically in most tournaments for like say probably white and blues. Purple and up, it's typically legal. So this is a full reaping position with the leg on the outside. And we typically try to sit up here because we want to maintain this bend in the leg. I won't get into this position very much, but we'll touch base on it later at a later date. But I lose knee line when this happens. So the key here is for me to keep the bend in the leg and gain control of the secondary leg, okay? So this is typically we call the sambo knot position. So this is the problem that James faces when he starts to hide his heel, is in the in-between position of B2, I can transfer his leg to the outside. This completely stops him from going this way. He can't go this way, he can't go this way. It's very difficult. And it completely changes all the submissions I can do. Of course, I can do heel hooks on the outside. I can do hip locks if he starts to get too aggressive coming forward. I can do a full tie-up of a sambo knot, and that would be another problem. Now, let's say once I get to this leg to the outside, James doesn't like this. So he's going to fall this way, he's going to straighten his leg. Once he straightens his leg, I allow him to straighten his leg, and I grab his pinky toe and bring him back this way. And now he's stuck in honey hole position. I'm going to start to capture the big toe, but he doesn't like that. He turns his heel down to the mat to hide it. Boom, I bring him back, and I bring him back to center. And then once I bring him back to center, he knows now this is a limit that he has. And so I'm doing this with him. So this is actually something that I show in some of the classes. I get here, and then we'll play around and say, go. And then we're just trying to like see if I can control the guy by just simply moving his foot. It's such a simple thing. I can move him back and forth to control the direction he's going. So if he wants to go that way, I'm going to bring him back this way, right? If he wants to commit really hard this way, that he's exposing his heel this way. Does that make sense? So you can just stay center, and then you can't really go anywhere, right? I can stay center, but I'm not submitting him, but I can keep him here and kind of ride this out a little bit and maybe try to get the second leg if he messes up there, maybe sit up, really start to attack. He starts to turn and run. I'm like, nope, I'm bringing him back, and I go back to my B2 position. So this is the real value, in my opinion, of this B2 position that is typically not talked a lot about. This lateral knee bar in between thing that we do here with between the honey hole and sambo knot. Obviously, there's the B3 would be the knee bar, which we won't talk about, which may be turning completely away from him. But this is just a really good position. I would say that this is more on the higher level. You have to have a basic foundational understanding of leg locks, like fundamental leg locks. And then this starts to become really valuable. But again, it's not talked about much, but this is the true value, I think, with the lateral knee bar position.